Luke 18:6-8. And the Lord said, Hear what the unjust judge saith. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? This scripture is a parable of the unjust judge. However, the main point of this parable is not the unjust judge, but to magnify the righteous God more and more. And the widows who are begging for their avengement here, which is the elect, are the Lord's brides. It is because the Lord has expressed that the time of avengement is when the Son of Man comes. The words "when the Son of Man comes" is talking about the time of the Lord's coming in the air and rapture. And the Lord describes this rapture incident where we don't die, but are taken up in the air while alive as avengement for our injustice. Speaking of death, this is the Lord reminding us of mankind's greatest resentment. That is right, in mankind there is no other resentment as great as death. Actually, because of this, having to separate from the world entered, and sadness, pain, and suffering has come. No one can avoid death. Everyone dies once at some time. To meet that death, our body becomes weaker and gets sick, and we get old. Who can count the tons of difficulties and pains that life brings in the process of walking towards death like this, and who can recompensate for them? Only God can avenge the sad resentment against his death. That is why the Lord will rapture the church before he brings judgment upon the world. If the church, which is the bride, has to go through the great tribulation, that would not be the Lord avenging us. Not only that, but God would become more unrighteous than the unrighteous judge. It is because judgment is for the wicked and the unrepentant. If God judges the righteous and holy brides by throwing them along with sinners into the great tribulation and judges them, then there is no more unrighteous judge than this. There is no groom who throws his bride into an unimaginably frightening and terrible environment before the wedding and has the marriage ceremony. Even a person who is human doesn't do that, but how much more would a just God not do that? This expression is exactly the emphasis the Lord is saying of the parable of the unjust judge. We must not misunderstand God as a lower level than human beings. God is never an unjust judge. He is righteous. Therefore, us believing in the rapture before the great tribulation is us believing in a God of justice. The Lord clearly states this through the parable of the unjust judge. Not only that, he is clearly revealing to us that there is no event in the history of mankind that will surely resolve the resentment against death as much as a person not dying and being raptured while alive. However, the problem is that the rapture that will set us free in avengement is right in front of our nose, but in Jesus' eyes, faith cannot be seen. If so, what kind of faith did the Lord want that he expressed it in this way? The churches today are overflowing and they are doing evangelism and missions diligently. So why did he say it like that? The reason is that the time of when the church only had to earnestly believe in the Lord finished at the end of 2019. Even up until the pandemic, there was no problem in receiving salvation if anyone truly believed in Jesus. However, starting with the pandemic, one more faith has started to be demanded of us. It is the faith to not receive the mark of the beast recorded in the book of Revelation. It is because if you receive this mark, even those who believe in Jesus well can lose their salvation. In actuality, many people right now are losing their salvation because of this. Of course, we cannot judge who has lost their salvation. Only God can judge, because each person's situation and condition are different. Some may be old in age or a young child, and so they can receive it due to a family decision. Some may have a mental illness, and others may get it against their will. Besides those, there will be various situations. Therefore, we believe that only God, who knows the depth of man's heart, sees and judges each person's condition and situation with justice. However, the day of the rapture has come when the Lord will avenge us, but so many people have seen and heard information about the V and side effects, but they do not believe and are being destroyed. This is the reason why the Lord asked if he would see faith in the last days. God says my people will perish for the lack of knowledge. Therefore, we should know the correct knowledge of the mark of the beast, which is written in the book of Revelation, and must believe. A lot of people are confused about this mark, but if you look closely at the book of Revelation, you can clearly know what the real mark of the beast is. And if you know the principles of GMOs, it will be easy to understand. Revelation 13:17-18, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name. This calls for wisdom. If anyone has insight, let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is man's number. His number is 666. Look closely at this verse. Here, the mark of the beast is depicted in two ways. The first is the name of the beast, and the second is the number of that name, 666. And what these two have in common is that they both have the name of the beast. If that's so, what is the name of the beast? It is Lucifer. Lucifer is Satan's real name that represents the beast. In other words, the Bible reveals that the name Lucifer is the real mark of the beast. Therefore, we must not accept any substance with this name into our body. By accepting this, the person is no longer made in God, but made in Lucifer. This is the same principle as GMOs. For example, if an apple's genetic material is mixed with a corn's genetic material, from that moment on, the apple is out of God's masterpiece. This is because, even though the outside is still an apple, the inside has been changed into a completely different kind by combining with corn. So, the company that developed it can take ownership and apply for a patent number. And the next step is to imprint the barcode 666 that contains the new information onto the apple corn, which has a new ID. Likewise, when humans too are mixed with the DNA of the beast that has the name of Lucifer, they are human on the outside but become a different being on the inside. After that, the person who developed this being will take ownership of it. That owner is Lucifer, and those who have become other beings will receive a chip containing new identifying information as the next step, which is a barcode 666 received on their hands and foreheads. If that's so, what we can know from here is that only when a person first becomes a beast does the barcode 666 also have meaning. Receiving a chip without first turning into a beast is simply putting personal information in the wallet into a small chip, implanting it in the hand, and carrying it around. This is because moving the cards in the wallet to the hand does not change the person's ID. The core code that defines a person or an animal is the DNA, and unless that code is changed, the person's ID does not change. Because of this, when a regular person gets a chip, it's just the person's mark. Simply put, when a tiger receives a chip, it becomes the mark of the tiger, and just as when a lion receives a chip, it becomes the mark of the lion. When a person receives a chip, it becomes the mark of the person, and when a beast receives it, it becomes the mark of the beast. So the core key to determining the mark of the beast lies in genetic modification, and it has the name Lucifer. And the 666 chip that comes in the next step as a barcode containing new identifying information and the function of buying and selling is a physical mark that shows ownership by Lucifer. That is why, in order to let us know of Lucifer's ownership, the Bible wrote that it is the number of its name. This number is not just an ordinary 666 number. It is 666 with the name of the beast attached. Because of this, we must protect ourselves from the genetic modification that accepts Satan's name, Lucifer, into our bodies. The Bible talks about it like this. Leviticus 19:19. Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. Through this word, God forbids the mixing of two different genes to become a different being. This is a sin that breaks God's order and destroys the original pure holiness. So if we receive the mark of the beast, that is, the name Lucifer, we become other beings and lose our salvation. Know this truth correctly and believe the truth spoken about in the book of Revelation. Believing is not difficult. Believing is a decision and a choice. We use our will to choose and decide to believe, regardless of our feelings or emotions. This is faith. And it is putting a period and not looking back. Because of this, the words of believing 50%, 70%, or 90% cannot exist in faith. If a person says that he only believes this is the mark of the beast 50%, that means he is 50% persuaded, not that he believes. Even if it looks like you believe in it 99%, it can never become faith. This is because the remaining 1% is a spark of doubt that will become big like a snowball anytime, somehow. One day, if a strong persuader appears to help that 1% of doubt, that 1% can turn into 100% in an instant. So the person makes the decision that Satan wants. In fact, right now, many people are making decisions like that after listening to the words of the news, doctors, pastors, and people around them. The most unfortunate thing is that the pastors are taking the lead in this work, leading the saints to the path of destruction. On top of that, they not only drive those who oppose the mark of the beast as conspiracy theorists or a cult, etc., but they start to gradually persecute within the church. When we look at the world and our surroundings, we can empathize with why Jesus asked if he will find faith when he returns. Therefore, the moment we hear the word, we need faith that believes, not persuasion. Leave no spark of doubt and choose to believe. Decide to believe. This is faith. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. God is demanding this kind of faith right now in order to save us. In order for the world to soon enter the Great Tribulation, the Antichrist control system has actively started. However, the God of justice will rapture the holy bride of the Lord before the judgment of the Great Tribulation. That day will be a day the Lord will solve the problem of death, which will avenge mankind through the rapture, and He will take us to the eternal heaven where there will be no death, suffering, pain, or disease again. That day is not far from now. I pray that everyone will wake up, firmly hold on to the faith, persevere and be victorious until the end. Jesus is coming soon.